Hey friends, it's me, Virginia. Welcome back to Living on the Verge. I've really been looking forward to this conversation that I teased on Friday. All weekend, I kept asking myself one question. What does putting yourself first actually mean? Really think about it. You know, it's one of those phrases we hear all the time, right? Put yourself first. Choose you. Protect your peace. Make sure you practice self-care. You guys, it all sounds really nice, but if you're anything like me, it can also sound a little vague or maybe even a little selfish. For a long time, I think I misunderstood what that meant. I figured putting yourself first meant putting yourself ahead of everyone else, taking the vacation, buying the thing, maybe saying no, finally drawing those boundaries. And those things certainly have their place. And I'm going to be honest, for me, I did feel it was a little selfish because I felt that I had a family to care for. And then I got to a season in life where I could actually put myself first. And I started really doing that. And lately, I realized that it looks totally different than I thought it was going to look. For me, putting myself first is something much quieter than I would have ever expected. Because it's not really about choosing myself over other people. It's about choosing to pay attention to myself. You see what I mean? Finally choosing to take the time to pay attention to me. And honestly, it sounds simple, but those are two quite very different things. And once I realized that, I started noticing it showing up in places I never expected. It was just the beginning of an ongoing revelation that honestly, I still wake up every morning and go, what am I going to learn today? And that's part of the beauty of this episode. And that's what I want to share with you today. And so one of the biggest lessons I learned recently is that my body, it's really been talking to me all along. And the real question is, have I been listening? Listen, if you're anything like me, my body tells me when I'm tired. My body tells me when I need to slow down. It even tells me when I need to get my butt up and go to the gym because I need some movement. Or when I need better food. One of the biggest signs my body will always tell me when I need water. And my body tells me when I need sleep. This goes for all of us if we listen, right? But for me, I treated those signals more like suggestions. For years, I would push through. I was exhausted, drink more coffee, stay up later, get up a little bit earlier. I gotta go, skip stretching at the end of the gym. I know I'm exhausted, but I just have 4 more loads of laundry to do. It's okay. I'll rest tomorrow. And you know what? Lately, I've been trying something a little different. When my body tells me something, I try to respond in kind. Not perfectly, just intentionally. And it's something I want to be really clear about. I'm listening to my body, but not my tricky brain. Because sometimes listening means going to the gym because I know I'll feel better afterward. Sometimes it means stretching instead of rushing out the door. Sometimes it might mean going to bed early or canceling the third dinner date that you have this week on the calendar. And sometimes it could mean taking a nap without apologizing for it. This happened to me recently. I woke up, I wasn't feeling well. I had been up off and on since about 4 a.m. Nothing really specific, just wasn't feeling great. And I, got my morning started, and then I sat down to relax a little, and I actually allowed myself to just drift off. And I woke up 25 minutes later, approximately, feeling a little bit better. And normally I would have felt bad, or I would have gotten a little bit perturbed with myself because I missed the show. You guys, I could just rewind it. It was fine. My body needed that rest. And I'm learning to get what I need and not apologize for it. I've realized something really interesting, and that is that listening is really only half the equation. Responding is the part that changes your life. And I thought I was relatively self-aware and intuitive, but I was missing the responding part of that equation for sure. And so I've also learned the same thing is happening with me emotionally. For a long time, every uncomfortable feeling felt like a problem that needed an immediate solution. If there was a disagreement with my husband, it needed to be resolved. If something hurt, fix it. If someone disappointed me, figure it out. If I felt anxious, well, for sure, solve whatever was making me anxious. You know what I'm talking about. So-and-so canceled or hasn't called you. Oh no, what went wrong? What did I do? Should I call? Should I wait? Or I have a slight headache. I'm going to go take Tylenol. Instead of thinking, am I dehydrated? How much water have I drank today? It's those things. And so now I'm experimenting with something different. I acknowledge the feeling. It sounds simple, right? But think about this. How often do we have a feeling and the first thing we do is try to make the feeling go away and move on to the next thing because it might be a little bit uncomfortable, or because maybe we're not ready to deal with that feeling, or maybe we're not familiar with the feeling. But now I just acknowledge the feeling. I let it exist. I don't immediately react. I don't automatically believe every story that my wild mind wants to tell me. And I simply pay attention. You guys, it's amazing how much calmer life becomes when every emotion doesn't require an immediate action. And this stands for my faith too. The quiet moments have become more important. And it's not because I'm checking a box or because someone told me I should or because I was raised to believe that this is what we're supposed to do. But it's because I genuinely notice a difference when I make space for them in my life. Those few moments in the morning help me begin my day centered instead of scattered. And it's not perfect. My faith journey is not perfect. I don't go to church every week. And guess what? I've even learned not to feel guilty when I don't go. But for me, putting myself first isn't about putting myself above everything else. Sometimes it's about making room for what grounds me first. I finally learned the lesson. Yay! Look at me growing. You guys, I was thinking about this too. I was thinking about the episode and what I really wanted to talk about. And I knew the feelings and the message that I wanted to convey, but I wanted to know really what it was that the message was. And so when I was thinking about the episode, I realized something. I don't actually think that the lesson that I am learning has anything to do with age. Because as I was thinking about it, I realized, you know what? I know people in their 20s who never listen to themselves. I know people in their 70s who still don't. And I know people much younger than me, and I mean much younger than me, who've already learned this skill beautifully. So it's really not an age lesson. It's an awareness lesson. No matter where you are in life, building a career, maybe you're just getting started and you have a fantastic, fabulous career ahead of you. Maybe you're in the thick of things and you're raising 4 kids and have a full-time job and 2 dogs and the kids are in swim. Maybe you're caring for aging parents and you're having to handle the challenges and the day-to-day that comes with that, the doctor's appointments, the medications, the endless responsibilities. Maybe you're starting over for whatever reason, or you just retired. Single, married, or somewhere in between. Life is constantly giving us information. Our bodies, our spirit, our emotions, our relationships. And the truth is, the question isn't whether those things are speaking, because everything that happens in life provides us information. The question is, are we listening? Are we listening? Well, here's the thing. Something else has been changing. I've started asking myself different questions. Instead of getting up in the morning and thinking, okay, what do I have to do today? What should Virginia be doing today? I still have the same intent, but with this small little tweak, so much has changed. Instead, I ask, what actually matters today? Those are very different questions, y'all. There will always be another errand, another email, and if you know me, another project and another thing to organize. But I've realized not everything deserves today's energy. And recently, I've found myself asking the question either out loud if I'm alone, because I don't want to be committed, or in my head if there are people around. Is this a today Virginia problem? Or a today Virginia thing that needs to be handled? Or is this for future Virginia? And I've even asked myself, is this for past Virginia? And maybe I shouldn't be using energy for it today? That is a huge shift. And it's a shift that has provided amazing relief in my life and in my mind. And it's so simple. Some things can wait. Some things don't even need to happen at all. And surprisingly, guess what, you guys? The world keeps turning. The mortgage keeps being due. The kids keep growing. We keep running out of dog food. And this revelation, for lack of a better word, has been incredibly freeing. I just feel so much lighter. And it's so funny because we talk about saying yes and saying no, and people often talk about boundaries. And yes, sometimes putting yourself first might mean saying no, right? But you know what else I've realized? And it's been a big shift for me. Putting yourself first also means saying yes. Yes to dinner with friends. Yes to the morning walk. Yes to the conversation that you've been putting off. Yes to church. Yes to taking care of your health. Yes to insert whatever thing you're thinking about right now. Yes to things that genuinely restore you. Sometimes putting yourself first isn't really about protecting your calendar. It's about filling it with things that help you become more fully yourself. And not just yourself, but your best self. So I want you to close your eyes and picture your life as a pie. How much of your pie is filled by things you feel you have to do? And how much of the pie contains the things that restore you? Okay, did you come up with your answer? Here's why I asked. One journal prompt stopped me in my tracks. What makes Virginia happy? Not what should make me happy. Not what looks good from the outside. What is everybody else going to think makes me happy? Not what everyone else enjoys. What do my friends want to do? But what actually brings me joy? And for a while, that question had been really super difficult to answer. I just spent so many years on autopilot, just doing what needed to be done and making sure that, we got ready for the next holiday and that we recovered from the last and that we paid the bills and all the things that next thing you know, I had rarely stopped to ask, what truly fills me up? And it dawned on me, I may never have figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. Right? Could that be it? But now, you know what? I'm becoming more curious again. A quiet morning, everything. A meaningful conversation, priceless. Learning something new, travel, laughing with friends. Had the best time recently just sitting around in the spa hearing a wedding day story from a couple friend of ours. And it was so fun, so fulfilling. Watching my family grow. I can't tell you the joy that I get from knowing those are my people. Creating a podcast episode that feels honest and real, those things, they matter. You know why? Because they're pieces of life that feel authentic. And that is everything. And so when I think about this whole subject and I ask myself what my takeaway is, I think it's that I finally understand the answer to that question. What does putting yourself first mean? Well, at least here's my interpretation. I don't think it's becoming the center of the universe. And it isn't ignoring other people. And it sure isn't being selfish. It's so much simpler than that. It's just the simple recognition and acknowledgement that you matter too. Your body matters. Your emotions matter. Your health matters. Your relationships matter. Your joy matters. Your spirit matters. It all matters. And you know what? You don't have to earn permission to care for those things. Isn't that something? I mean, literally, they're just a part of living a healthy and meaningful life. And I found when you do, your life does become fuller, richer, more rewarding. And in this case, simpler really is better. So, I'd love to leave you with one question this week. And it's not, what should I accomplish today? Not, what does everyone else need from me? It's just this. What do I need today? And maybe the answer is movement. If that's the case, get to the gym. Go on the walk. Maybe it's rest. Sleep in. Or maybe you're that person that has racked up 13 weeks of PTO and you haven't used it. Maybe you need to call off and just take a day of rest. Maybe it's forgiveness of someone, or it might even be forgiving yourself. Maybe it's a difficult conversation. I got news for you guys. It doesn't get easier if you wait. Maybe it's quiet. That's been mine lately. I love quiet. For some reason, I'm just eating it all up lately. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's simply slowing down long enough to hear what you've been trying to tell yourself all along. And I don't know what your answer is. I'm still working on mine. And, of course, like everything else, it's going to evolve. But whatever your answer is, listen. And then respond in kind. Don't forget to respond, because I've learned those are two very different things. And recognizing that it's not just as simple as listening. I need to be able to respond to the things that I am hearing and paying attention to. That slight shift has changed so much for me. So I'll be back on Friday and we'll talk life on the verge along with reality on the verge. And I may even have a wino segment. We'll see. But that's it for today. I thank you so much for spending a little time with me. Until next time, keep paying attention, because real life has a funny way of teaching us exactly what we need if we're willing to listen. And until next time, I'll be right here, living on the verge.